Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. My name is Eli, I'm 29, and I almost swallowed that first gulp. I froze with the cup at my lips. Something in it hit my tongue and felt off, too sweet, too sharp. I forced a smile anyway, because I hate making scenes. Then my stomach tightened like it recognized the trick. Maya leaned on the table and watched my face. Not in a friendly way either, more like she was waiting. I tipped the cup back down and pretended to check my phone. My thumb hovered over nothing because my brain stalled. Why was she staring like she needed a result? "You good?" Her voice stayed light, almost playful. I nodded too fast, which always gives me away. I took a second sip to prove I was fine. Stupid move. The fizz burned wrong on the way down. My throat warned me before my head did. I set the cup on the nearest surface and backed up. My fingers missed the edge and it wobbled. Maya caught it with a quick hand like she practiced. That little save looked heroic, but it felt staged. I hated that I noticed that. I tried to laugh it off like I always do. "Must be strong soda," I muttered like a joke. Maya's mouth twitched, then her eyes went flat. She lifted her brows like I was being dramatic again. That look punched an old button in me. I pushed the cup away with one finger. Maya slid it back, slow and gentle like training wheels. "Come on," she said, and tapped the rim twice. That tap was tiny, but it felt like pressure. It made my skin itch under my shirt. I scanned for someone I knew, anyone steady. Faces blurred into noise, and I hated that too. I told myself I was tired. I told myself it was nothing. I kept telling myself that because it sounded responsible. Then my hands started to tremble anyway. I tucked my fists in my pockets so nobody saw. My knees softened, then caught, then softened again. Maya watched my pockets like she knew my hiding spots. She leaned closer and her perfume hit hard, too familiar. It yanked my thoughts somewhere I did not want to go. "You haven't been fun in forever," she whispered. I blinked at her like she spoke another language. My mouth opened then shut because I had no clean answer. I wanted to ask what she meant, but I already knew. And knowing it made my chest go tight. I grabbed a water from the bar without thinking. My fingers fumbled bills like they belonged to someone else. The bartender looked annoyed, and I deserved that. I drank fast, hoping it would cancel whatever was happening. The water did nothing, and that scared me. Maya came right behind me, way too close. She put her hand on my back and guided me. That touch should have been comforting, but it felt like steering. I shrugged her off and she acted wounded on cue. Why did her hurt look so rehearsed? "I miss the old you," she said, soft and certain. I stared at my own reflection in the mirror behind the bottles. My pupils looked wrong, and I hated seeing that truth. I swallowed hard and tasted that sweetness again. It was like my body was remembering without permission. I tried to walk to the door, just a clean exit. My foot clipped something and I stumbled like a rookie. Maya caught my elbow, her grip locked like a clamp. "Sit down," she insisted, and her smile stayed glued on. The smile was the scariest part. I yanked my arm free and my voice came out sharp. "What did you give me?" The words surprised even me. Maya's face flashed with something close to triumph. Then she covered it with a laugh that did not reach her eyes. That was when I knew I was in real trouble. I tried to call someone, but my screen kept tilting. My thumb hit the wrong name twice, then 3 times. Maya slid between me and the exit like it was casual. She lifted my cup again and held it near my chest. And my body leaned toward it before my brain could stop it. I jerked upright and smacked my knee on the bed frame. My tongue felt wrecked, like I chewed sand all night. I reached for my water and knocked it over. The spill should have annoyed me, but I felt dread first. Because I could not remember leaving the place. My head pulsed in slow waves, then surged again. I checked the time and my stomach dropped. Hours were missing, like someone tore them out. I tried to replay the night and got static. That blank space felt loud. I sat up and saw my shoes still on. One lace was tied, the other hung loose. My shirt was backwards, which is not like me. I stared at it like it belonged to a stranger. Then I noticed a bruise on my forearm. I went to the sink and splashed my face hard. My hands shook, then steadied, then shook again. I watched my pupils and did not like what I saw. I whispered no, like the word could fix physics. My reflection did not argue back. Something buzzed on the nightstand and I flinched. Not because of noise, but because of what it meant. The screen lit up with missed calls from my sponsor. I read the name and felt small for a second. Why would he call that Ma? NY Times. I tapped the last voicemail and held the speaker close. His voice came tight like he already knew. Call me now, do not sit alone with this. My throat closed up and I swallowed air. How did he get worried that fast? I stumbled to the kitchen and stopped cold. A crumpled bag sat on the counter with grease marks. There was a receipt stapled to it, time-stamped late. I do not buy foods like that anymore, not alone. So who bought it for me? I dug through the bag with 2 fingers. A tiny bottle cap rolled out and clicked on tile. I froze like I heard a gunshot. My first thought was denial, then rage, then shame. Because that cap was not supposed to exist here. I searched the room like a detective in a panic. My jacket was on the chair, but my wallet was open. Cash was missing, which made no sense at first. Then the sense landed, someone used it, someone planned it. And my skin went cold. I tried to stand still and think like an adult. Instead, I paced and kept rubbing my wrists. My mind kept jumping to the same person and I fought it. I did not want it to be her, not her. Then I saw a familiar hoodie draped over my chair. I held that hoodie by the sleeve like it was contaminated. My heart hammered, then skipped, then hammered again. I checked the pockets and found a crumpled napkin. There was a number written on it that I did not recognize. And there was a smear on the ink like rushed fingers. I grabbed my keys and stopped at the door. My hand hovered over the lock and would not move. If I left, it became real in a new way. If I stayed, I would spiral in this silence. So I forced the door open and stepped into consequences. I walked fast to my car and almost missed the dent. A fresh scrape ran along the side panel. I stared at it and tried to breathe evenly. I do not hit things and I do not forget it after. So who was driving while I was gone? I slid into the seat and found dirt on the floor mat. Not just dirt, but little rocks that crunched under my heel. I pictured a curb, a parking block, something careless. My chest tightened again and my mouth went dry. Then my screen lit up with an incoming text from Maya. It read, "Morning, you were hilarious last night." No question mark, no concern, just that. My fingers hovered over the reply, then curled into a fist. I typed, deleted, typed again, then stopped. Because every answer felt like a trap. I finally sent 3 words, "Where did you go?" The response came back almost instantly. "Relax, you needed it." I stared at that line until the letters blurred. Needed what exactly, and why did she sound proud? I called her and held the device tight to my ear. She answered on the first ring, too ready. "Hey," she breathed like we shared a secret. I kept my voice flat, which took real effort. "Tell me what you put in my glass." There was a pause that lasted 1 beat too long. Then she laughed, quick and forced like a cover. "Nothing, you're being intense." My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Because she did not say, "Are you okay?" I slammed my laptop open and logged into my bank fast. My fingers moved like they knew what they would find. One charge sat there like a bruise you cannot ignore. Liquor store late night, my balance looked wrong. My stomach flipped and I kept scrolling anyway. I clicked the charge details and copied the address. I told myself it could be a mistake because denial feels useful. Then I saw the timestamp and my chest went tight again. That time matched the missing stretch in my head. I whispered, "No way," and my voice sounded thin. I grabbed my keys and drove without music. Every red light felt like it was judging me. I parked and sat for 1 extra beat, just breathing. Then I walked in like I belonged there. The clerk looked up and I felt my face heat. "I need the receipt for this purchase." I held up my card. The clerk's eyes flicked to the date, then to me. "You here to return something?" His tone stayed careful. I shook my head and forced steady words. "I don't remember buying it," and I waited for his reaction. He leaned closer to the counter, then lowered his voice. "Do you want the camera time?" His question landed hard. My heart jumped because that meant there was footage. I nodded once like I could handle anything. He pointed at a small sign about managers and policies. I asked for the manager and tried not to rush. My knee bounced anyway because my body was snitching. The manager came out and sized me up fast. I showed my ID and the charge again. He studied it, then glanced toward the back office. "We can't play it for you," he said, hands up. "But we can confirm if it was you." I hated the word confirm because it sounded final. I asked for one thing, "Tell me what you saw." He exhaled like he already regretted this. "It wasn't you," he said, and my lungs finally worked. "Woman came in with your card and a picture." My mouth went dry because use that detail was personal. "A picture of me?" I asked, too sharp. He nodded and my hands curled around my wallet. I stepped outside and called the non-emergency line. My voice came out clipped like I was reading a script. They told me to file a report and request footage later. I wrote the case number on my wrist with a pen. The ink looked shaky and so did my trust. Back in my car, I opened my social feed on autopilot. I searched her name and found her story from last night. A short clip flashed, music motion, her grin too close. In the corner was my jacket sleeve, unmistakable. So she had been filming while I was fading. I drove to the bar from last night and walked in fast. The bartender recognized me and his face shifted. Not pity exactly, more like discomfort mixed with guilt. I held up a photo of her and pointed. "Was she with me?" I asked and waited. He rubbed the back of his neck, then nodded. "She ordered for you," he murmured, eyes darting away. I kept my voice level even while my pulse spiked. "What did she ask for?" I tapped the counter once. His answer came out quiet like a confession. "Double in lime," he swallowed after that. My stomach sank because I never do lime. I know that sounds small, but it is a locked habit. I asked if she put anything in on her own. He hesitated, and that hesitation was everything. He leaned in and kept his eyes low. "She handed me a tiny bottle," he muttered. "Clear stuff, no label." He lifted a finger like a warning. "I told her it was a bad idea," he added. Then he went silent like he expected a punch. I stepped back and my vision tunneled for a second. Part of me wanted to scream at him, which is unfair. Another part wanted to disappear, which is worse. I forced myself to ask the only useful question. "Did you see what it was called?" And I held my breath. He shook his head, then glanced toward the cameras. "We got angles," he said, voice lower now. "Owner won't hand it over without cops." I nodded like I had it handled, even though I did not. Then I felt my throat tighten because her plan had layers. I walked out and my hands started to buzz. You know that feeling when your body wants one answer now. I pressed my palm against my steering wheel and stayed still. I called my sponsor and let it ring twice. When he picked up, I almost lied, then I didn't. "I need help staying clean today," my voice cracked once. He did not lecture me, which made me want to cry. He told me to come over and to bring every detail. I stared at the bar door behind me and swallowed hard. Because I knew I still had to face her next. I hit record on my phone before I stepped out. My palm was slick and I hated that about myself. I chose a busy parking lot on purpose. Not for drama, because I wanted witnesses. I kept my car door half closed like a shield. She rolled in 10 minutes late and waved like nothing. Her smile looked practiced, like she used it for trouble. She walked straight at me with open arms. I lifted one hand and stopped her cold. Her face tightened for a second, then reset. "You look rough," she started, voice soft and sugary. I kept my eyes on her hands, not her tears. "I'm not here for comfort," I snapped. The line came out harsher than I planned. She blinked like I slapped her. I held up the case number on my wrist. Her gaze dropped to it, then darted away fast. That tiny dodge told me more than any speech. I asked one question, slow and clear. "Why is there a report connected to last night?" Her laugh burst out, quick and empty. "Are you serious right now?" She spread her fingers wide. I nodded once because my throat felt locked. She took a step closer, then stopped herself. Like she suddenly remembered people could see. I pulled up the liquor store charge on my screen. I turned it toward her and watched her pupils flick. She tried to squint like it was a math problem. Then she shrugged like the number bored her. That shrug made my jaw ache. "You lost your card," she tried with a pout. I shook my head, slow, almost calm. "No, you used it." My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. Like she was picking the lie she liked best. I switched to her social clip and froze the frame. Her grin filled most of the screen. My jacket sleeve sat in the corner, plain as proof. I tilted the phone so she could not dodge it. Her cheeks drained just a little. That could be anybody, she pushed too fast. I let out a short laugh that surprised me. You know my jacket, I shot back. She lifted her chin and tried for offended. But her eyes looked cornered. I asked about the bar and I did not blink. What did you order for me? I kept it flat. She dragged a breath in like she was buying time. Just drinks, she answered, too vague. So I pressed harder because vague is a confession. Did you add something? I asked and held still. Her fingers started picking at her nails. That little habit hit me like a memory I did not want. She nodded once, barely, like it hurt to admit. Then she looked up like she wanted applause. It was just a boost, she insisted, voice pleading. A nudge, she made a small pushing motion near my chest. My skin crawled at that gesture. I forced myself to breathe through my nose. Because anger can turn into stupid choices. I asked what she used and she hesitated again. High proof, she mumbled, eyes on the pavement. Then she added, and something to relax you. My stomach lurched so hard I tasted metal. Relax me, like I was a dog in a crate. I took one step back because my hands felt dangerous. Something, I repeated, and my voice went low. She lifted both palms like she was innocent. It wasn't a big deal, she tried, almost annoyed. That switch from sorry to irritated hit me hard. I asked why she even had it with her. She gave me a look like I should already know. People keep stuff, she snapped, then caught herself. Her eyes widened right after, like she heard her own slip. What do you mean people keep stuff? I pointed at her and kept my tone tight. You keep it, the words came out like a verdict. She shook her head, but it looked weak. Then she sighed like I was exhausting her. That sigh made my nails dig into my palm. You don't get it, she said, voice sharp now. You were fun before, you were honest. I stared at her because that was warped. Honest, I echoed, and my throat burned. She nodded like she could rewrite the world. You used to stop pretending you were better, she pushed. That line landed like a cheap punch. I felt shame flash up fast and ugly. Then rage followed right behind it. Because she was using my past like a weapon. I asked the question I had avoided all day. Did you want me to relapse? I did not soften it. Her face folded, then hardened again. I wanted you to loosen up, she snapped. She could not even say the word out loud. I stepped closer because I needed the truth clean. You hoped I'd fall, I said, quieter than before. Her eyes got wet, but her voice stayed firm. I missed us, she whispered like that excused it. And that was the moment I stopped recognizing her. I asked how she got my card details. She chewed her lip, then rolled her eyes like a teenager. I saved it, she admitted like it was normal. For emergencies, she made air quotes with both hands. What emergency needs my recovery burned down? I told her I was done talking and started to turn away. She grabbed my sleeve, nails sharp through fabric. Don't make this a thing, she hissed. I yanked free and my heart hammered hard. Because that grab felt like the real her. I lifted my phone so she could see the red recording dot. Her eyes locked on it and fear finally showed. Turn that off, she demanded, voice suddenly tight. I shook my head once slow and watched her panic rise. Then she did the worst possible thing. She smiled again, bright and fake, and leaned in close. If you tell anyone, she whispered, they'll believe you relapsed. My throat went dry because she was right about that. I stared at her and felt something inside me go still. And I realized she had planned that part too. I hit stop on the recording and locked my doors fast. My hands shook so hard I dropped my keys once. I sat there and listened to my own breathing, ragged and loud. Then my phone buzzed again like it smelled weakness. Her name lit the screen and I flinched. Delete that video, the text came through cold. A second message followed right after, you're overreacting. I typed back 3 words, then erased them. I knew any reply would feed her. So I took screenshots instead and saved everything. I drove straight to my sponsor's place and did not detour. My foot kept tapping the pedal like it wanted escape. At every stop I rehearsed excuses, which made me angry. Why was I still protecting her in my head? That question chased me through every block. He opened the door and took one look at me. No judgment, no lecture, just a nod inside. I handed him my phone like it was evidence in court. He watched the clip without blinking, then set it down slowly. Okay, he said, and that calm scared me more. I started talking too fast, then forced myself to slow down. The words came out messy, which felt honest and humiliating. I kept trying to blame myself because that's my reflex. He stopped me with one raised finger. "Your brain is bargaining," he warned, and he was right. I showed him the case number and the screenshots. Then I pulled up the liquor store charge and the bar detail. My sponsor's jaw tightened just a little. "That's intent," he said, voice flat. Hearing it name made my chest seize. My phone vibrated again on the table, another message. "Don't tell anyone, they'll think you fell off." I felt heat rush into my face, pure fury. My sponsor watched me Diet then pointed at my hands. "Notice your body," he said, "that's your warning system." I wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, I stood up and paced in a tight loop. You ever feel your skin buzzing like it wants a bad choice? That was me right then, and I hated it. The craving was not a desire, it was a panic response. He told me to call a friend from my meeting list. Not a text, not a vague check-in. A real call with a real voice. I did it because I was out of other plans. My fingers hovered, then pressed the button. "Hey man," my friend picked up fast, no questions first. I swallowed and kept my voice steady on purpose. "I need someone with me today." There was a pause, then a simple answer. "I'm on my way," and my eyes burned. My sponsor asked one blunt question. "Are you safe from her right now?" I nodded, then caught myself and shook my head instead. Not physically maybe, not mentally, not yet. Because she still knew how to get under my skin. We wrote out steps on a notepad like a checklist. Call the bank, freeze the card, change every password. Report the drugging, not just the fraud. I hated how official it sounded, but it had to happen. I signed my own name at the bottom and felt real again. I called the bank and my voice stayed clipped. They asked security questions and I answered like a robot. When they asked if I authorized the charge, I said no clearly. That one word felt like a small rescue. Then the agent asked if I wanted to dispute more transactions. I checked the last 20 charges and my throat tightened. There were 2 small purchases I did not recognize. Nothing huge, which almost felt more sinister. Like she wanted chaos, not money. I flagged them and felt my stomach twist anyway. My friend arrived and hugged me without squeezing too hard. He looked at my face and did not make jokes. I showed him the newest threat and he swore under his breath. "Save it all," he said, every single line. His certainty gave me a spine for a moment. We drove to the station together because I could not go alone. In the lobby, my legs felt too light, like I might float off. I kept thinking someone would see me and make assumptions. That shame is loud, even when nobody says anything. I forced my feet forward anyway. An officer asked me to explain what happened. I kept it factual because I could not handle pity. Spiked drink, missing time, fraud charge, threats to smear me. The officer's expression changed at the word spiked. He asked if I had any proof and I slid my phone over. He watched the clip and nodded once tight. Then he asked if I wanted to request camera footage. My mouth went dry again, but I said yes. Because I was done letting her write my story. He handed me forms and my hands trembled as I filled them. My phone lit up again while I was signing. Maya this time calling over and over. I declined, then silenced, then powered off entirely. My friend watched me do it and gave a small nod. That power button felt like a line in the sand. When I turned my phone back on later, the messages stacked up. First anger, then begging, then the sweet voice again. "You'll ruin me," one text read like I owed her mercy. I stared at that line and felt something snap into place. She still thought this was about her. I sent one message and kept it short. "Do not contact me again." Then I blocked her number and every account I could find. My finger hovered over unblock for one ugly second. I pressed down harder and left it blocked. That night I went to a meeting even though I wanted to hide. I sat in the back and listened, jaw locked. When it was my turn, I did not tell the full story. I only said someone tried to pull me under. Heads nodded around the room, and that support felt heavy. Afterward, 2 people walked me to my car. No big speeches, just presence, just eyes on me. I drove home and checked my locks twice, then a third time. It was not rational, but it was what I needed. When I finally lay down, sleep did not come easy. I kept thinking about her smile in that parking lot. How it flipped on like a switch when she wanted control. Part of me still searched for a version of her that cared. I hate admitting that because it makes me sound weak. But that's the hook of people like her, memory is bait. The next morning my sponsor texted one line. Still clean today. I stared at the screen for a long beat. Then I typed back yes, and my hands finally steadied. Outside my window the world moved on, but I did not forget.